Hi, I'm Dave. Welcome to part 4 of what has quite possibly become the most expensive boondoggle. No, I'm not going to say boondoggle. The most expensive project that we've done in quite some time. How did we get to this point, you ask? Funny you should say that because I was just about to remind you to be sure to watch parts 1, 2, and 3 of this project. You know, Star Wars didn't make much sense if you started in the middle of that, which actually was chapter 1, wasn't it? Never mind about that. Things are about to get confusing enough as it is without following that path. Anyway, while we're not involved with Luke and Darth, this will be equally confusing if you don't watch things in order. So, if I've done things correctly, there are links to 3 previous videos somewhere up there. If you're trying to jump ahead, though, and save some time, let me say it again. That ain't gonna work. Watch them now. You can always come back here. The countertops were finally delivered by Precision Countertops, and Roberto began the involved installation process. First, he sealed the joints, and then he began to connect the two halves. Next came the machine that sucked the two pieces together while they fused. This is quite a piece of machinery. Watch how this thing works. While that joint was cooking, the undermount sink was installed. It took about 4 hours for the installation. We had to leave for an appointment before he finished, so I was unable to video the rest of the job. But when we got home, a quick inspection showed a beautifully completed job. Across the hall, the washer and dryer outlets are ready to be finished. So I began to strip the wire in preparation for those outlets. Now watch the electrician get zapped. That's coming up just about now. Let's see that again in slow motion. Turn the breakers off, Dave. That's better. Now we can finish wiring. While we're watching this guy do his thing, I have a story on myself here. It was a couple of months ago when I set the water heater. As you can see, it's a small one, 20 gallons. But I didn't turn the electricity on until recently. I flipped on the breaker, turned on a faucet a few minutes later, and waited for the hot, or at least warm, water to make its way through the lines. And I waited and waited. Nothing. Not even lukewarm water. I double-checked the line at the circuit breaker and again at the water heater. I had power in both places, so I couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting hot water. So finally, in desperation, I climbed up the ladder again and tried to read the label on the unit. Of course, it faces the back side of the water heater, and in behind the water heater and that wall. So I squeezed my phone in that space and took a picture. When I was able to stop and read the label, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Now, every water heater I've ever worked on was 240 volts. I knew this little one was 2,000 watts, so I wired it for 240 without looking at the label. I mean, it's a water heater, right? A water heater is 240, right? Not this little fellow. See that? 120 volts. What? I've never seen a 120 volt water heater. Until now, that is. I don't know. Maybe I've just led a sheltered life. So I rewired it for 120, and it works just fine. A 120 volt water heater. Got me. Now, this is one of those mixed reaction segments. On one hand, I wanted the floor of the old building to be relatively level in areas where we are installing the floor tile. So, we applied a skim coat of thin-set concrete. Now, because of the way this old building was constructed, I wanted to keep the weight to a minimum. But I wanted those floors level. So I swallowed my objections, and we went with a thin set. So far, so good. The second floor hasn't collapsed onto the first. This is where I let my emotions get the better of me. I was sick and tired of electrical circuits, 1, not working, 2, shorted out, 3, mislabeled at the panel, and etc. Frankly, It was a mess. So I got mad and stripped the panel, pulled every freaking wire out of the thing, and started all over. You know, if I could have worked this fast when I was wiring houses, I might still have a job. If I wanted one, which I don't. Well, once the panel was stripped, it was time to start all over and build the panel from scratch. One thing I learned from this was that even though some of the circuits were incorrectly labeled, not all of them were, I should have identified the wires as I pulled them out. As a result, I had to wring out every wire to see where it went, and that took way too long. But the panel works now, more or less. Before we get too far in this part of the story, I think it would be a good idea to figure out what's where in this project. So I'm cranking out another of Dave's famous notepad drawings. This is a 30 by 40 foot building. The apartment is on the second floor, tucked up under a 12 pitch roof. So there's the footprint of the structure. Here's the second floor, smaller because it's tucked up under that roof. Starting at the back of the building, here's the bedroom, formerly the cave. Here's the bathroom, the shower at the top, and the toilet at the bottom, and the vanity sink. Here's the kitchen with the refrigerator and range. Then the countertop with the eating bar. Now down on the lower level is where we constructed the new cave on the left side of this drawing. It's only 9 feet wide, but it's about 17 feet long, kind of like a real cave. The big difference between the new cave and the original is that this one has space for a bathroom. It's not in yet, too many other irons in the fire. So there's where the recliner is going to go. There's the couch, the hide-a-bed. There's a table. What I didn't show was where the refrigerator is going to go in here. It's up there next to the bathroom, right next to the door to the bathroom. It'll be a little bit bigger space in there, so there's room for the refrigerator. Well, that's it for part 4 of this series. Part 5 is already in the works and should be following soon. So I'll end this by asking that you subscribe to my channel. I'm told it does good things when you do. But frankly, this time it's getting to be an ego trip for me, and I love seeing folks enjoying, or at least watching, these videos. So subscribe, okay? It's that little red thing down below there. You'll find it. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.